Hello everyone! These transportation tests are both insanely awesome and ridiculously expensive. Let's check them out. What do you think are the odds of a car not turning into a pile of scrap metal when it hits an 85-ton locomotive? A crash test in Belgium once again showed that the chances are zero. Still, it looks pretty impressive. Ever wonder what could happen to a car sandwiched between two trucks going 43 kilometers per hour? Here's a takeaway. Always try to avoid being surrounded by a bunch of trucks when you're driving. Do you know what bollards can do? Boom! And the truck turns into scrap metal in mere seconds. These posts can stop any vehicle from getting through, regardless of their size or speed. And watching it is simply amazing. Sending a rocket into space costs hundreds of millions of dollars. However, even the most experienced engineers can make mistakes sometimes. Take, for example, what happened with the NASA spacecraft that was supposed to deliver supplies to the International Space Station due to a random mistake. I bet it's the most expensive fireworks you've ever seen. It took 100 kilos of explosives to make that epic scene possible, and honestly, it looks cooler than a lot of big-budget action movies. I guess if I had to pick a bus for a long trip, it would be the one that can keep going even after a hit like that. Just gotta remember to buckle up. In China, they decided to test the durability of high-speed trains by crashing them head-on at a speed of 76 kilometers per hour. This set a world record. It's the fastest crash test of the kind ever attempted, and the results pleasantly surprised everyone. The train's front end took a beating, but it stayed on track, and the cabin remained undamaged. The Cybertruck from Tesla, which sparked a lot of debate, was highly anticipated, and one of its standout features is its bulletproof construction. Now it's time to see if it lives up to the hype. Let's kick off the experiment with a regular 9mm Glock.
$9mm, 115 grain from a Glock. Looking pretty good.
You see? The Cybertruck held up fine, even when a bullet hit the same spot twice. But what if it's a burst of gunfire?
MP5, it's the same 9mm, 115 grain. It's going a bit faster. We've got only a 4-inch barrel, but an 8. Took 5 rounds, held up pretty well. We had one where we got...
By the way, check out how a regular pickup truck takes the same punishment. Well, after such a costly test, we can now say for sure that the Cybertruck's claim of being bulletproof holds true. Everyone debating which car is more reliable, Volvo or BMW, finally put their arguments to the test. They decide to see what would happen if they dropped the cars from a height, and now all we have to do is sit back and enjoy the show. By the way, let us know in the comments whose side are you on. Did you know that emergency stops aren't just for cars, but also for colossal beasts like military ships? Check out this neat demonstration. It dropped from 30 knots per hour to 0 in just about 2 seconds. Nice work, engineers. You've probably seen in movies how cars effortlessly plow through barriers, escaping from a chase, right? But that's just a movie thing. In reality, these barriers can easily stop a car weighing up to 20 tons. Check out what happens if a truck decides to ram into one. Here are real-life scenes you'd expect from an action movie, testing new tank rounds that can hit multiple targets at once. It's incredible how much power and effectiveness they pack into one explosion, right? Ever wondered what would happen if you dropped a G-Wagon from a height of 300 meters? Well, these guys got really curious and decided to sacrifice a car for this crash test. The outcome was pretty much what you'd expect, but at least now we've seen a flying G-Wagon. Simulating an actual car hitting a pedestrian is a way to remind people of the importance of crossing the street in the right places. The car, driving at 87 kilometers an hour, threw the dummy a whopping 72 meters and ended up with some pretty serious damage. An ambulance requires a sturdy and resilient body more than many other vehicles, so manufacturers often have to conduct tests to ensure its durability. Even a pickup truck couldn't inflict critical damage on the ambulance. Pretty impressive. I wonder if there's anything that can remain even remotely intact after being squeezed between two bulldozers. But this isn't even the funniest way to wreck stuff. Check out the game the drivers came up with to test their precision.
How was that?
Smash that car!
Oh, did you guys feel that?
You can't just leave nuclear weapons lying around. They need special bunkers to keep them safe from all sorts of attacks. Right now, you're witnessing tests to see how tough these bunkers are against missile hits. Have you ever felt sorry for a car? Well, now's the time. Keep an eye on that one. Oh, ouch! That felt like medieval torture. No wonder they call those beasts monster trucks. Remember that legendary scene? We used to think only James Bond's Aston Martin could pull off such feats. But it turns out Mercedes is right up there too. Not every SpaceX project took off smoothly at first. For instance, Elon Musk and his team spent a lot of time figuring out how to land their rockets back on Earth after sending them into space. And now you're looking at one of their early, unsuccessful attempts. Thankfully, the testing platform functioned in offline mode, meaning that the only thing that took a hit from such a failure was the company's finances. Thanks to the new gear, even chasing down a truck won't take much time. And it's gonna end with a bang. A vacuum tank can explode due to many reasons. One of the main causes being maintenance errors. That's why one manufacturer decided to go ahead and set off a controlled explosion of such a tanker to demonstrate the potential consequences of careless operation. I'll never look at my deodorant spray the same way again.
Nice.
It's pretty clear who's going to win the showdown between a tank and cars. Let's just see how quickly it happens and enjoy the show. When a plane hits a bird at high speed, it can seriously damage the windshield and even lead to a plane crash. That's why engineers run tests to make sure it can withstand such impacts. Check it out. School buses are held to high safety standards for obvious reasons. Every aspect is crucial, from the strength of the body to the effectiveness of seatbelts and the likelihood of tipping over. That's why engineers always strive to improve them and test them in more spectacular and expensive crash tests. Wow, that even sounds expensive, and rightfully so. You're looking at a Bugatti brake caliper. They're the first company in the world to start making these parts with a 3D printer, and here's what their tests look like. Going from 160 kilometers per hour to a dead stop in just 2.5 seconds. Now that's some serious innovation in the automotive world. We're so used to seeing transport tests done with dummies that it seems wild to crash test a lifeboat with people on it. But then again, it's just another proof of how confident the manufacturers are in this rescue tool. And it makes sense, because a lifeboat needs to do its job even in the toughest situations. The Institute of Traffic Accident Investigators doesn't waste any time. They run spectacular crash tests to better understand the reasons behind accidents and their aftermath on the roads. Check out how impressive the process looks. You know why airplanes are one of the safest modes of transportation? Because manufacturers can spend over $13 million on engine crash tests alone. The goal of such tests is to ensure that if there's an explosion, all the blades stay inside instead of piercing through the fuselage or wing of the aircraft. Knowing this makes you feel a bit more at ease about flying, doesn't it? Who needs a car crusher for disposal when you have construction machinery? Crushing with an excavator is just as impressive, if not more so. In Switzerland, researchers conducted a unique experiment to see how crashes at speeds of 120 and 140 kilometers per hour differ in terms of damage. At first glance, there seemed to be hardly any distinctions. But take a look now in slow motion. Now check out what happens at 160 kilometers per hour. This old destroyer has done its duty. It's time to turn it into an artificial reef off the shores of Canada. It took a few powerful blasts to sink this big guy. While you can't exactly call it a crash test, the whole thing looks unbelievably epic and undoubtedly expensive. Remember this video next time you think it's okay to skip buckling up in the back seat, or that nothing bad can happen at just 40 kilometers per hour. That was the most intense tug of war you've ever seen. And let's face it, the tractor never stood a chance against the tank. Only something as big as a dump truck could give it a good challenge. Hit the like button if you'd enjoy watching that showdown. The Raptor engine test by SpaceX looks straight out of a sci-fi movie. Airplane crashes don't happen often, but occasionally they happen for the sake of science. NASA and the Federal Aviation Administration joined forces to intentionally drop a 15-ton aircraft to test its strength. These kinds of tests allow for adjustments to the plane's structure, making it more resistant to impact and potentially life-saving in certain scenarios.